The hotel door swung open, and my girlfriend stood there naked with another man behind her. For 1 second, my brain refused to understand what my eyes were seeing. Then she smiled slowly like I had just interrupted a normal evening. That smile broke something inside me that I know will never heal. Her name is Emily, and until that moment, I thought she was the love of my life. We had been together for years and built what I believed was a real future. We talked about marriage, kids, and buying a house somewhere quiet. I trusted her completely, and that trust is what made this hurt so much. Emily and I met in college in Ohio, and everything felt easy back then. She was warm, funny, and always made me feel chosen. We moved in together after graduation and struggled through real life side by side. I worked long hours and she supported me, or at least I thought she did. Looking back now, I can see the cracks forming slowly. She started working late more often and coming home exhausted. Her phone was always face down, and she took it everywhere. When I asked about her day, she gave short answers and changed the subject. I told myself I was overthinking because I loved her. I told myself trust meant not questioning every change. My friends said relationships had phases, and this was normal. So I ignored the feeling in my chest that something was wrong. That Tuesday night started like any other forgettable evening. Emily texted me saying she had to stay late at work again. She added a heart emoji and said she loved me. I replied the same and tried to believe it. I ate cold pizza alone and watched a game I did not care about. The apartment felt too quiet without her. I kept checking my phone expecting another text. None came, and that silence sat heavy in the room. Around 9 o'clock, my friend Mark called me. His voice sounded tight, like he was holding something back. He asked me where Emily was working late tonight. When I told him, he paused for too long. Mark finally said he saw Emily at a downtown hotel bar. She was sitting close to another guy laughing, touching his arm. They looked comfortable, like they had done this before. Mark swore he would not call if he was not sure. At first I got angry and accused him of being mistaken. I said Emily would never do that to me. Mark told me he hoped he was wrong, but the way he spoke told me he was not. After hanging up, I sat frozen on the couch. My heart was racing and my hands were shaking. I tried to think of any explanation that made sense. Nothing did, and that terrified me. Without really deciding, I grabbed my keys and left. The drive downtown felt surreal, like I was watching myself from outside. Every red light felt like the universe mocking me. I kept hoping Emily would call and prove this was a lie. The hotel Mark described was expensive and bright. I walked inside feeling like I did not belong there. The lobby smelled like perfume and money. I walked up to the front desk with a dry mouth. I asked for Emily's name and tried to sound calm. The clerk looked at me, then at her screen. She hesitated for a moment that felt like a lifetime. Then she gave me the room number without meeting my eyes. The elevator ride was torture. Every floor made my chest feel tighter. I practiced what I would say if this was a mistake. My legs felt weak when the doors finally opened. I stood outside the room listening. Inside I heard laughter, soft and familiar. It was Emily laugh, and it was not me making her laugh. My hand trembled as I raised it to knock. When the door opened, everything collapsed. Emily stood there wearing only a robe. Her hair was messy and her skin still warm. Behind her, a man sat on the bed, calm and unbothered. She looked shocked for half a second. Then her face relaxed and she smiled. Not guilty, not afraid, just amused. Like I had walked in at the wrong time. I asked her what was going on, and my voice sounded empty. She said my name slowly, like I was a problem. The man did not move or apologize. He just watched me like I was already gone. I asked how long this had been happening. Emily looked away, then back at me. She said it was complicated and that hurt more than it. I finally lost control. My legs gave out, and I leaned against the wall. Tears came without sound and without shame. 4 years of love crashed down at once. I thought that was the worst moment of my life. I thought seeing her like that was the end. I had no idea this was only the first truth, and that what came next would hurt even more. Because that man in the hotel room was not the only one, and Emily had been lying to me about more than cheating. By the time I learned everything, I would question every memory we ever shared. I spent the night driving without a destination because going home felt impossible. Every street looked different, like my city had rejected me. My phone stayed silent, and that silence felt intentional. Somewhere between midnight and morning, I realized Emily was not coming after me. When the sun started rising, I parked near a closed grocery store. I had not slept and my head was pounding. I kept replaying her smile over and over. That smile told me she was not sorry, she was relieved. I finally went back to the apartment we shared. Her shoes were by the door and her coffee mug was in the sink. Everything looked normal, and that made me feel insane. I sat on the floor and stared at our photos on the wall. I remember thinking how easy it was for her to lie. For years and I never saw it. Or maybe I saw it and chose to ignore it. That thought hurt more than the cheating. Around 10 in the morning my phone buzzed. It was Emily. Just seeing her name made my chest tighten. I let it ring until it stopped. She texted saying we needed to talk. She said last night got out of hand. She said she did not mean for me to find out like that. Not once did she say sorry. I did not reply right away. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions. But mostly I wanted the truth. An hour later she showed up at the apartment. She used her key like nothing had changed. She looked tired but not guilty. That hurt almost as much as the hotel room. She sat on the couch like this was a normal conversation. She asked if I had slept. She asked if I was okay. I could not believe how calm she sounded. I asked her how long she had been cheating. She took a deep breath and looked at the floor. Then she said almost a year. That word almost echoed in my head. Almost a year of lies. Almost a year of late nights. Almost a year of me trusting her completely. I felt stupid and small. She said it started after a work conference. She felt lonely, she said. She felt like we were drifting. She needed excitement again. I asked why she did not just break up with me. She said she did not want to lose me. She said I was safe. Safe was not a compliment. She told me the man from the hotel was named Jason. She said it was mostly physical. She said it did not mean anything. But she could not explain why she kept going back. Then she dropped something that changed everything. She said Jason was not the only one. My heart started racing before she even finished. I could feel another truth coming. She told me there were 2 other guys. One from her gym, one from her office. She said it like she was listing errands. I stood up because I thought I might pass out. 4 years together. 3 other men. And she still came home to me every night. I asked if she ever loved me. She looked at me for a long time. Then she said she loved what we had. That answer destroyed me. I told her to leave. She hesitated like she wanted to argue. Then she packed a bag, calm and efficient. She said we would talk later. After she left, I threw up in the bathroom. My body finally caught up to the pain. I sat on the floor shaking, wondering how I missed so much. That afternoon, Mark came over. He did not say I told you so. He just sat with me. Sometimes silence is the only support that matters. I told him everything. Every lie, every name, every detail that made me feel worse. Mark asked if I was done with her. I wanted to say yes, but my chest tightened when I tried. Love does not shut off just because it should. That night, Emily texted again. She said she wanted closure. She said she never meant to hurt me. She asked if we could meet one last time. I should have blocked her. I should have protected myself. But I agreed, because part of me still needed answers. We met at a coffee shop we used to love. Seeing her there felt wrong, like a stranger wearing her face. She reached for my hand, and I pulled away. She started crying then. Real tears this time. She said she did not recognize herself anymore. She said she was broken. I asked why she smiled when I caught her. She looked shocked by the question. Then she looked away. She said she was relieved it was finally over. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Relieved. Not regretful. Not ashamed. She said living 2 lives was exhausting. She said lying to me made her feel sick. She said part of her wanted to be caught, so she would not have to decide. I realized then she was not the victim. She was just tired of carrying her own guilt. And I had been carrying her stability. I told her I was done. I told her I never wanted to see her again. She nodded like she expected that. She said she hoped I would forgive her one day. As I walked out, I felt empty, not free. Healing does not start with relief. It starts with shock. And I was still deep inside it. I thought that was the end of Emily in my life. I thought the worst was over. But 2 days later, I received a message that changed everything again. It was from someone I did not know. A woman. And she said she had been dating Jason too. The message came from a woman named Sarah, and it started with an apology and a warning and a truth I was not ready to hear. She said she did not know about me at first, and she thought I deserved to know everything now. She said Jason had been living a double life too, and Emily was not his only secret. By the time I finished reading, my hands were shaking and my chest felt hollow. I stared at the screen for a long time, wondering if this was some cruel joke or another lie. Part of me wanted to ignore it and protect what little sanity I had left. But another part of me needed to know how deep this went. So I typed back and asked her to tell me everything. Sarah called me within minutes, and her voice was calm but tired. She said she had been dating Jason for almost 2 years and thought they were serious. She found out about Emily the same way I did, by accident and too late. Hearing someone else describe the same pain made mine feel real. She told me Jason worked in medical sales and traveled a lot. He used hotels and conferences and late meetings as cover. He told each of them the same stories with small changes. Listening to her felt like looking at a mirror I never wanted. Then Sarah dropped something that made me sit down hard. She said Emily knew about her. Not just knew about her, but mocked her. She said Emily once joked about being the main one. I felt sick hearing that, and my head started spinning. Emily had looked me in the eyes and talked about our future, all while laughing about another woman behind closed doors. That was not confusion or loneliness, that was cruelty. Sarah said she found messages on Jason's laptop after he passed out one night. Group chats, photos, plans, even inside jokes. Emily was not just a side affair, she was a partner in deception. That realization changed everything I thought I knew. After the call ended, I sat in silence for a long time. The apartment felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. I thought about all the nights Emily came home late. All the time she said I was being paranoid. I started looking back at moments that felt innocent before. Her smiling at her phone during dinner. Her taking extra care with her appearance for no reason. Her saying I would not understand her work world. I could not stop thinking about how easily she lied. Not out of fear, but out of convenience. She did not panic when caught. She smiled because she was finally free. That night, I did something I never thought I would do. I opened her old laptop she left behind. She never changed the password because she never thought she would need to. What I found there destroyed any remaining illusion. There were emails, calendar invites, and photos. Trips, she told me, were work-related, were romantic getaways. Receipts from hotels I had never heard of. Messages where she called me safe and predictable. One message in particular broke me. She wrote to Jason saying she loved how easy I was to lie to. She said I would never leave because I needed her too much. Reading that felt like being stripped of dignity. I closed the laptop and sat on the floor. I did not cry right away. I felt numb, like my body had shut down. Shock has a way of protecting you until it does not. The next day, I took off work and drove to my parents' house. I had not told them anything yet. Walking into their kitchen felt like stepping back in time. My mom knew something was wrong before I spoke. I told them everything slowly, carefully. My dad got quiet and my mom held my hand. They did not judge or offer empty advice. They just let me break in front of them. That night my phone started blowing up. Emily was calling, texting, leaving voicemails. She said she heard I talked to someone. She said people were lying about her. I did not answer at first, but then she sent a message that made me furious. She said Sarah was crazy and Jason manipulated everyone. She said none of it was as bad as it looked. I finally called her back. My voice was calm but cold. I told her I saw the messages. I told her I knew she knew. There was silence on the other end. Then she started crying hard. She said she never meant for things to go that far. She said she was lost and addicted to attention. I asked her one question. I asked if she ever planned to stop. She hesitated. That pause told me everything. She finally said she was not sure. She said she loved me, but loved the feeling more. Hearing that killed the last piece of hope I had. I told her never to contact me again. I blocked her number after that. I thought that would bring peace. Instead, it brought anger. Anger at her and at myself. I started therapy because I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that hotel room. I heard her laugh. I felt that smile cut into me again. My therapist told me betrayal trauma changes how you see reality. It makes you question your judgment. It makes you fear trust. That description felt too accurate. Weeks passed, and life moved on around me. Friends checked in less. Work demanded focus. But inside I felt frozen in that moment. Then one evening Mark called me again. He sounded hesitant, like he was afraid to speak. He asked if I was sitting down. That was never a good sign. He told me Emily had been telling people a different story. She said I was controlling and distant. She said I drove her away. She was rewriting history. Hearing that made my blood run cold. She was not just moving on. She was protecting her image. At my expense. I realized then this was not over. Not for me. Not for her. And not for the truth. Because the next thing Mark told me was that Emily had started dating someone new. Someone who knew me. And that changed everything again. When Mark told me who Emily was dating, my body went cold in a way I had never felt before. For a moment I thought I misheard him or that he was joking. Then he said the name again slowly like he was afraid I might break. It was Ryan, one of my old friends, someone who had sat in my living room. Ryan and I were not best friends, but we had known each other for years. We watched games together, grabbed drinks, talked about life. He knew about Emily and me. He had seen us together more times than I could count. The realization hit harder than any other truth so far. This was not just cheating or lying. This was betrayal from multiple directions. It felt like my entire past was turning against me. Mark told me he heard it from a mutual friend. Emily and Ryan were posting subtle photos online. Same places, same backgrounds, same smiles. They were not hiding very well. I pulled up social media and my hands started shaking. There it was. A photo of Emily laughing at a bar I recognized. Ryan hand visible in the frame like a signature. I could not breathe for a few seconds. This was the same bar where Ryan and I used to go. The same place he once told me Emily was lucky to have me. The lies stacked on top of each other until I felt buried. What hurt most was the timeline. The more I looked, the more it became clear. They did not start dating after the breakup. They had been around each other long before. Old photos, old comments, inside jokes. Little moments that meant nothing before. Now they screamed at me. This was not new, this was hidden. I called Ryan without thinking. It rang twice before he answered. He sounded calm, almost casual. Like he had been expecting this call. I asked him straight if he was seeing Emily. There was a pause. Then he said yes. No apology, no explanation. I asked how long. He hesitated, then said a few months. I laughed because that was a lie. I told him I knew it was longer. He finally admitted they started talking while Emily and I were still together. He said it was emotional at first. He said he did not plan for it to happen. I could hear him trying to justify it. I asked him one question. I asked if he ever thought about me. There was silence on the line. That silence was louder than any answer. He said he was sorry if I got hurt. If. That word made me see red. I told him never to contact me again. Then I hung up. After that call, I felt something shift inside me. The sadness turned sharp. The confusion turned clear. This was not about losing Emily anymore. This was about realizing how disposable I had been. To her. To him. To people I thought cared. Over the next few days, more things came out. Friends started reaching out quietly. They said they had suspicions, but did not want to get involved. Some said they saw Emily and Ryan together months ago. Each message felt like another cut. Not because they meant harm, but because everyone knew except me. I was the last one holding on to a lie. I started questioning every memory. Every party, every dinner, every smile. Who was real? Who was acting? Emily tried reaching out again through a mutual friend. She said she wanted to explain. She said Ryan made her feel understood. She said I would not get it. That message broke something final in me. I realized she still did not see the damage. She still centered herself. Even now. I told the mutual friend to tell Emily one thing. That she did not break my heart. She taught me who she really was. And I was finally paying attention. Therapy became less about surviving and more about rebuilding. My therapist asked me what I learned. I said I learned that trust without boundaries is self-betrayal. That love without respect is not love. Weeks turned into months. Emily and Ryan went public. They posted trips, smiles, anniversary dates. Like nothing wrong had ever happened. At first it hurt. Then it felt empty. Then it felt like a lesson I never asked for. One day Sarah reached out again. She said Jason had tried to come back. She said no. We talked for a while about healing and closure. She said something that stuck with me. She said people like Emily and Jason do not fear losing you. They fear being alone. And that made everything click. I stopped checking Emily's social media. I stopped asking about Ryan. I focused on becoming someone who would never tolerate that again. Then one afternoon, months later, I got a message from an unknown number. The message was short, and it made my stomach drop. It said, "You were right about Emily, and I think she is doing the same thing to me." It was from Ryan. The message from Ryan sat on my screen for a long time before I could even process it. "You were right about Emily, and I think she is doing the same thing to me." Seeing those words did not bring satisfaction or relief. It just made me tired in a way I had never felt before. For months, I imagined what it would feel like if karma came back around. I thought I would smile or feel vindicated or finally at peace. Instead, I felt a heavy sadness. Because I knew exactly what he was feeling. I did not reply right away. I put my phone down and went for a long walk. The air was cold and sharp, and it helped clear my head. Every step felt like I was choosing distance over chaos. I thought about everything that had happened. The hotel room, the smile, the lies, the way my reality had been rewritten without my consent. Ryan had been part of that, not just as a bystander, but as someone who made a choice. The choice that cost me years of my life. And now he wanted what? Comfort, validation, advice, absolution. When I got home, I sat on my couch and picked up my phone again. There was another message. He said he was sorry for everything. He said he finally understood what I went through. That sentence hit me hard. Not because it was true, but because it came too late. Understanding after damage is still damage. He said Emily had started pulling away. She hid her phone. She worked late. She accused him of being insecure. The same pattern. The same script. Different target. He said he found messages. Multiple guys. Some from her work. Some from her gym. Reading that felt like watching a fire burn a house I once lived in. I knew every sound. Every crack. Every collapse. Ryan said he felt like he was losing his mind. He asked me how I got through it. That question made my chest tighten. I thought about telling him everything. About therapy. About sleepless nights. About rebuilding my sense of self from nothing. But I also thought about the night he lied to me. The way he said yes without apology. The way he let me walk away broken. I typed a response. Then deleted it. Then typed another. In the end, I sent something simple. I said I am sorry you are going through that. I said you should trust what you are seeing. And I said I cannot be part of this conversation. He did not reply after that. And I did not feel guilty. Because boundaries are not cruel. They are necessary. A week later, I heard through someone else that Emily and Ryan had exploded. Public arguments. Accusations. Social media posts quickly deleted. People started connecting dots. The stories did not match. The mask slipped. For the first time since everything happened, I felt detached. Not numb, just free. I realized something important. Closure does not come from watching someone else suffer. It comes from choosing yourself when you once chose them. Life slowly started to feel normal again. I started sleeping through the night. I started laughing without forcing it. I started trusting my own judgment again. Dating was hard at first. Every red flag felt like a siren. Every late text made my heart race. But therapy helped. Time helped. And honesty with myself helped most. I learned to ask questions. I learned to walk away when something fell off. I learned that love is not proven by how much pain you tolerate. One evening months later, I ran into Emily at a grocery store. We locked eyes for a second. She looked smaller somehow. Less certain. She started to say my name. I nodded politely and walked past her. That was it. No anger. No speech. No revenge. Just distance. Later that night, I thought about how much I had changed. Not hardened. Just aware. I no longer wanted answers from people who lied. I no longer needed validation from those who betrayed me. I thought about Ryan. About how pain finally taught him what empathy could not. And I felt a strange mix of sadness and acceptance. Some people only learn when they bleed. And even then, they do not always learn enough. What stayed with me most was one question. One that still sits heavy in my chest. If someone hurts you deeply, then comes back hurt the same way, do you help them because you understand? Or walk away because you finally understand yourself? That is the question I leave you with. Because healing is not about being kind or cold. It is about choosing who you become after everything breaks.